What an incredible move by the Philadelphia 76ers. What the Philadelphia 76ers just did to the Boston Celtics is highway robbery. You traded away a declining player in Paul George for a guy in Jalen Brown who finished sixth in MVP voting. He was leading the Boston Celtics to 56 wins, and now he is on the Sixers. On top of that, you have these analytical guys out here saying, oh, Jalen Brown's on and off numbers are not that good. And they're not factoring in other things with that Celtics roster. But what's going to happen is Jalen Brown's going to be motivated. He's going to be fired up. You have him under contract for 3 seasons in Philly. Just a great move all around. On top of that, you tanked to get VJ Edgecombe, and he looks like a promising rookie. Now you have your backcourt for the future and Maxey and Edgecombe. You pair that with Jalen Brown. Here's another thing that is going to help Philadelphia. Embiid, if he's sitting out games because he needs to rest or he has more injuries, even if Philly can't keep Embiid healthy, he could change his role potentially. Maybe he needs to become a backup center. I'm not trying to downgrade Embiid, just trying to be realistic if the injuries continue to go on in his career. I don't want that for him, but let's just say that happens. So you have Brown, who could be your number one option, or Maxey, number one option. You have 3 guys who can put the ball on the floor. That's phenomenal. So let's just say you need a season or 2 to keep adding to this roster. All of a sudden, the Sixers are right in the thick of things in the Eastern Conference. They have opened up the window for this core. Edgecombe, Maxey, and Jalen Brown. Now, Jalen Brown, we understand his off-ball defense isn't that strong. His ball handling can be questionable at times. However, he's not your main ball handler anymore. That's Maxey. That's Edgecombe. Jalen Brown doesn't have to be a playmaker for this team. He could focus more of his attention on scoring the basketball. He can help with the playmaking, but he can thrive in that role where he can be a scoring forward. He can get downhill, and he doesn't have to worry about, okay, should it be Tatum's turn and should I be playmaking? He doesn't worry about any of that. He can play bully ball in Philadelphia. I think it's a great acquisition for the Philadelphia 76ers. For Boston, I'll get to them in another video because I'm a Celtics fan. But here's what's happened in Philadelphia since they acquired Paul George. They signed him, and what happened? They had injuries to Embiid and Paul George. And then they went into the lottery, and you drafted Edgecombe. You brought in a young talent who has a ton of upside, who's very athletic, and he'll just get better. And you assume that the Sixers are going to add more to this roster. Philadelphia is only going to get better. And worst case scenario, if Embiid can't play more than 50 games because of just the injuries and bad luck, and let's just say he just can't stay healthy in the playoffs, well, you still have Brown for 3 more seasons, and I'm assuming Philadelphia is going to extend him. You still have Edgecombe and Maxey. The only thing you need to find at that point is another big man. But I just think what Philadelphia has done is they have given themselves some time to build out a championship contender. They're in the thick of things right now. Now, they're in the thick of the Eastern Conference. I'm not saying they're contenders right now. They're probably fringe contenders, but they're probably a piece away. If things don't work out with Embiid, this Sixers team is going to be This Sixers team is going to be scary. On top of that, no injury history to Jalen Brown, so he's very durable. And again, you expect the Philadelphia 76ers to extend him in a contract because he's going to kill Boston. Like, he's going to be motivated to play the Celtics next season and to prove everybody wrong. And man, I can't say enough good things about what the Sixers have done here. I don't want to talk about analytics because that stuff is just dumb to me, especially when you look at the on and off numbers when you're playing with role players in Boston who aren't as good. So they have to play more team ball when Brown is not on the floor. Like, they don't want to factor that in at all. Like, we're just going to ignore that part and act like, the role players thrive more because they had to move the ball around. They couldn't be, a guy who was a one-man show because Tatum was out for a period of time. But then you got to the playoffs, and those same role players were not as good, like Kata, like Baylor Shireman, because they've never been in the playoffs before. Jalen Brown wasn't terrible in that run. Yes, he didn't make the shot to get in the lead down the stretch, but you got to make your shots. It's a miss or make lead. It's a miss or make league. It's a make or miss league. It's a make or miss league, and that's what happens sometimes. So, from my vantage point, the Sixers fleeced the Boston Celtics. Let's look at the trade itself. So, here's what happened. The Celtics got back Paul George, who is regressing, and he's only going to get worse as he ages. You get back the 2028 first round pick, and it could be potentially more favorable to Boston. Philadelphia's unprotected 2031 pick. You expect Philadelphia to still be good at that point, and a couple of second round picks. The Sixers are the clear winners in this trade. And I'll go back to this again. Embiid doesn't have to carry the load. Jaylen Brown can take on the number one option, and Embiid can manage that injury. And even if he doesn't pan out the way Philadelphia wants him to, and he can't stay healthy, Brown is going to help out tremendously with the offense. And if at some point the Sixers need to consider either changing, and if the Sixers at some point need to consider changing Joel Embiid, and if the Sixers need to consider changing Embiid's role to a bench guy because of just the injuries, and it's unfortunate if that happens, they can still find a way to upgrade the roster. You have 3 guys who can go out there and give you 30 on any given night. That is scary. Maxi's in the prime of his career. Jaylen Brown is locked up for 3 seasons, and he'll be extended. I guarantee it. The Sixers are in great shape. So, yeah, shout out to Philadelphia and what y'all have done. I'm sure, like, 2 years ago, it was really tough when you brought in Paul George and things didn't work out the first season. Just look where you are now. Like, I would be ecstatic as a Sixers fan because there's not a lot of two-way forwards in the NBA. That's why this is such a valuable trade, because I really value small forwards in the NBA nowadays, because if you can play make, shoot, and play defense at the forward position, that is a huge upside, because a guy like Tatum, we saw in the NBA Finals 2 seasons ago, he was able to stop the lob threat because of his versatility when he was guarding Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively. He shut off the entire alley-oop. He shut off that funnel for those alley-oops that Luka was getting with Lively and Gafford on their way to the NBA Finals. That's why I think forwards are so valuable. Now, obviously, Jaylen Brown is not as versatile as Jason Tatum, but he can still guard 1 through 4. He's strong, and he's able to get downhill. It's just going to give Philadelphia a different look on offense. And, man, shout out to y'all. I mean, great trade. Fleece Boston. I'm not even going to lie. And, man, when Jaylen Brown goes up against Boston, it's going to be very ugly. And for Boston, you had it coming. This is just a disaster of a trade. I'll get to them in another video, but hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts on the Sixers acquiring Jaylen Brown. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. I want to hear your thoughts about the Sixers acquiring Jaylen Brown. And are you excited as a Sixers fan? What do you expect next from Philadelphia? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you on the next one.